Hello and welcome to this, the first of a series of revision videos for my Upper 6th class at Worksop College. This is the Prima Porta statue of Augustus, which is the first of the three artistic and sort of archaeological sources you need to know for your A-level. On this statue you should read Paul Zanker's account and look at the MIT website, which has lots of close-up pictures and analysis of each of the different parts of the statue. It is called the Prima Porta Augustus because it was found at Prima Porta, at Livia's villa. Livia was Augustus's wife, at her villa, and it was named after the site find. We don't know who built it, we don't know when it was built or made, but because of the breastplate, which is the returning of the Parthian standards, which happened in 20 BC, we know that the statue must have been built after 20 BC. So I first want to look at the body type as a whole, and then talk about individual parts of it. We'll save the breastplate for another video. Okay, so on the left is the Doryphoros of Polykleitos, a very famous statue called the Spear Bearer. It is an ancient Greek statue and was built around about 440 BC. So, 400 years before Augustus. As hopefully you can see, the body type is very, very similar to the Prima Porta, particularly the legs. That bent leg creates a sort of dynamism, a sense of movement. The builder of the Prima Porta is taken directly from the Doryphoros of Polykleitos. What Augustus or Augustus's sculptor has done is simply taken the body type and added specifically Roman things. So he's added Augustus's head, he's added this arm, he's added obviously Cupid down here, and he's added a Roman military breastplate and the toga. So we want to focus on these individual additions and trying to explain what he's trying to do. The Doryphoros of Polykleitos was an image of the ideal man, so there is an element of virtus within the statue, expression of masculinity and manliness that Augustus's sculptor has taken and applied to Augustus himself. It's worth adding here that this idea of taking a Greek original is fundamental to Augustan art. You know it from your Virgil. Virgil took Homer, the Greek original, the famous original poem, and he's Romanized it by adding Italian pastoral and Roman elements. So I'm thinking the three prophecies in Book 1, Book 6 and Book 8, which all look at the coming of Rome. Also in Book 8, you've got Aeneas visiting the city of Rome itself. Okay, so let's start by looking at Augustus's head. It's quite a famous head type. It's called the Actium head type. Sorry, the picture's not great. You can see the characteristic hairline, the little curves, reminiscent supposedly of Alexander the Great, representing virtus. Obviously Alexander the Great was a great general. So always Augustus is seen with this haircut. And the Julio-Claudian emperors, the emperors following him, copy that haircut. So it's reminiscent of his virtus. His face is very smooth. Again, I apologise about the fuzziness of the image, but unlike Republican portraits, which were sort of warts and all and wrinkles, remember your Cicero image from your book last term, his face is very smooth, eternally young, if you like, dynamic, youthful. And he seems to be staring into the distance. characteristic hand gesture is known as ad locutio, which is an address usually by a general, obviously this is by an emperor, to his troops. So that arm movement is very powerful, almost phallic. It is emphasizing his command and his military might. Think of your image of Kitchener here, pointing right at you, commanding, dynamic, military. Okay, so we move on to the body. You'll see that there's a breastplate. Again, sorry about the quality, but on the breastplate is an image of the returning of the standards. So the guy here is a Roman, the guy here is a Parthian, and he's returning the standards lost by Marcus Crassus at the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BC. So it is an expression of military power, of defeating the old enemy, the Parthians. It is an expression of the Pax Augusta, the Pax Romana. So it is a celebration of Augustus's military might. The breastplate, of course, stands for his virtus, his masculinity, and military strength. At the same time, we have the toga, a symbol of civility, a symbol of the Senate, a symbol, most importantly, of his Romanness, his Romanitas. Think of your Aeneid, where Jupiter himself calls Rome the race that wears the toga. So this is Augustus screaming out how Roman he is. And in a way, it is a juxtaposition of war and peace. Obviously, military breastplate, war, the Senate, the toga, what you wear in peacetime when you are in Rome, when you are inside the Pomerium, is your toga. When you're outside the Pomerium, in the Militia, you wear your military clothes. So there's quite a lot going on here with just the clothing, of course, added to the Doryphorian body. And now the feet. Lots of people have talked about the bareness of the feet. Is it him pretending to be a god? Is it him? Is it a posthumous statue? Because when you have bare feet in a statue, it often represents someone who is dead. Is it just him being a hero? I don't really know the answer, but it is an interesting part of the statue. On his right ankle, we have this picture of Cupid riding a dolphin. You can see that the dolphin is sort of going down and its face is entering into the ground, or I suppose the water. So it's just jumped up and is splashing down into the water. And Cupid is riding on the back of that dolphin and he's holding on to Augustus's tunic. Cupid is the son of a goddess, Venus. He is Aeneas's stepbrother. And so there is a lot going on about the links to the Julian line here with the Cupid. Obviously, Augustus is Gaius Julius, well, was Gaius Julius Caesar Octavianus, and so he is emphasizing his link to the Julian line through Venus, but also with it being an image of Cupid as opposed to Venus, it's emphasizing that idea of being the son of a goddess, or son of a god in Augustus's case. So remember, Augustus has deified Julius Caesar, and so he is a Divi Filius. Divi Filius, the son of a god. So in summary, if you were writing an essay on this statue, you'd want to be talking about at least these three themes. Virtus, pietas, obviously two of Augustus's four virtues on his golden shield in the Curia Julia that he received after the first settlement in 27 BC. Pax, peace, and his use of myth to legitimize his own position and his line. So Virtus, obviously you have the breastplate, you've got Alexander the Great's haircut, you've got the Ad Locutio statue, you've got the body type of the Doryphoros, which is the ultimate man, so emphasizing his masculinity. You've got the dynamism and movement in the legs. Pietas, you've got Cupid, so he has support of the gods. You've got Cupid again, emphasising that he is Divi Filius, son of a god, so it's putting us back to Caesar. In another video, we'll look at the breastplate, but on the breastplate, we have a series of gods, all surrounding the central idea of the returning of the Parthian standards and therefore legitimising Augustus's Virtus and his ideas of peace. So that moves on to Pax. With the returning of the Parthian standards, this is the Pax Augusta, the peace of Augustus. He has brought an end to war. He has conquered the great enemies of Rome. Think of your Res Gestae. The last sort of 10 chapters of the Res Gestae are all about what he did for Rome in terms of military context. He is bringing peace to the world, albeit, as Tacitus says, he made a desert and called it peace. Finally, the use of myth. So you've got Cupid, you've got all these gods, etc., legitimising his position. Through Cupid, he is a Julio-Claudian. Through Cupid, he is a descendant of Aeneas, for example. And all of that goes to legitimise his place in the world. He is Augustus, the legitimate leader of the Roman people. Thank you. I hope it helps. Okay, so on our left we have the Doryphoros by Polyclitus. As it says, about 440 BC, so 400 years before Augustus. It is a very, very famous Greek statue. You can see that, well, hopefully you can see that the Prima Porta body type is almost exactly the same. Particularly notice the dynamic leg movement that gives a sense of action, a sense of movement. The Doryphoros, or the spear carrier by Polyclitus, was an image, an old Greek image of the ideal man. You can see that Augustus, or the sculptor, has merely taken the body type and added Augustus's head, this arm here, the clothing, the breastplate, and the toga, and this image down here of Cupid. So these are the things we want to focus on. He's taken the body type of the Greek original and added specifically Roman elements. So I want to look at these in turn. It's quite important to understand Augustan art as taking a Greek original and making it Roman. Think of your Virgil. Virgil takes Homer, a Greek original, and Romanizes it by bringing in Italian rusticism, the pastoral images of Rome. So this is what really kind of sums up Augustan and Roman art, the taking of Greek originals and making them Roman.